Imagine the smartest guy in the universe. Now, imagine he's also the most sarcastic. Meet Rick Sanchez, a scientist with a wit as sharp as his intellect and a penchant for interdimensional travel. From a young age, Rick's knack for bending the laws of physics and occasionally societal norms began to surface. But what shapes a man capable of crafting devices that manipulate time and space? Today, we will uncover not just the mind behind the madness, but the heart behind the havoc. Let's start at the very beginning because, as we all know, every genius has his origin story. Rick's story starts off shrouded in mystery. Given his knack for hopping between dimensions, it's nearly impossible to pin down exactly where he grew up. And while some viewers might interpret certain aspects of Rick's personality or mannerisms as typically American, these are subjective interpretations and not confirmed by the show itself. His familial relationships are equally enveloped in secrecy, but elements of Rick's need for parental approval can be gleaned from his actions and interactions. Notably, in the autoerotic assimilation episode, Rick's request for every man who even vaguely resembles his father to cheer him on while he physically engages with Unity points at a deep-seated yearning. This peculiar desire could suggest that Rick, throughout his formative and adult years, may have been seeking validation he felt he never received. Was this a subconscious need for approval from a parental figure, or merely Rick's dark humor at play? The show leaves these questions tantalizingly open. Alternatively, memories like Beth's of Fruppyland, crafted by Rick, could hint at a nurturing side that might have been influenced by his own upbringing. Does this indicate that Rick's parents were supportive, encouraging his early scientific pursuits and emotional development? Or was Fruppyland simply a place for him to stick Beth and not have to worry about cleaning up after her whenever she did something crazy like he stated? Either way, one thing remains clear. His early life was marked by an insatiable curiosity that often placed him at odds with the conventional world around him. It was in his makeshift basement lab where young Rick first began to tinker with the impossible. With parts scavenged from broken appliances and the occasional dumpster dive, he assembled gadgets that defied explanation. One of his first major breakthroughs, and arguably the most important of his inventions, was the portal gun. This is Rick's most used invention. It is a gun that shoots green fluidic portals onto any surface and allows the user to travel between different universes, dimensions, and realities. But that was just the beginning for Rick. His knack for creating mind-boggling devices only grew from there. First, let's talk about the freeze ray. The freeze ray is a seemingly simple weapon that fires a ray capable of instantly freezing a target. This weapon is a recurring invention throughout the series, appearing in episodes like Pilot, Lawnmower Dog, and the Rick Shank Rickdemption. It was also used to kill people multiple times, including killing the Simpsons' neighbor, Ned Flanders, in the Rick and Morty Simpsons couch gag. Next up is dark matter, which is a form of matter that has been unsolved by scientists. Rick figures out how to create it, and he starts using it as fuel to enable faster space travel. The Zagarians are dying to get their hands on the formula. However, in the episode M. Night Shame Aliens, Rick fools them into believing that the formula includes water and cesium, and when they attempt to follow his fake recipe, Rick escapes and the Zygarians end up blowing themselves up. Then there's the love potion. In the episode Rick Potion #9, Rick gave Morty a potion that would make Jessica, Morty's longtime crush, fall in love with him. The potion had Morty's DNA in it, and it would work on anyone it infected except for those genetically related to Morty. So if there was a way to make it contagious, say by using it on someone with the flu, it would piggyback on the influenza and become a contagious pathogen, spreading and causing everyone in the world to fall completely in love with Morty. Except for the Smith family, of course. Moving on to the mind blowers, these helmet-like devices allow the user to remove another person's memories. Featured in Morty's Mind Blowers, the invention is revealed to have played a central role in shaping Morty's reality, as Rick had apparently used it to remove many of Morty's unwanted memories at his request. He also used it to erase any of Morty's memories that made him look bad, which wasn't the most ethical thing to do. Finally, let's talk about the cognition amplifier, which Rick created in Lawnmower Dog. Rick used the helmet on Snuffles, Morty's pet dog, who was having trouble with potty training. Rick developed the helmet to raise Snuffles' IQ at Jerry's request. The helmet enhances Snuffles' intelligence, and after discovering it could hold 4 batteries instead of 1, Snuffles installs the additional battery. This greatly boosts his intelligence, leading to unexpected consequences. Snuffles, who later renames himself himself Snowball, gains control over the household, and eventually organizes an army of intelligent dogs to take over the world. But enough about his crazy inventions. Let's move on to Rick's romantic life. As you might expect, things get very complicated when it comes to Rick and love interests. His cynical personality, disregard for emotional attachment, and every other thing about him make traditional romance a rarity. Rick's only confirmed romantic relationship is with Diane Sanchez, his wife and Beth's mother. Very little is known about her, and we see her in a fabricated memory in the Rick Shank Redemption, hinting at a loving relationship, but its authenticity is questionable. Possible romances include Unity, a symbiotic life form. In autoerotic assimilation, Rick reconnects with Unity, who has the ability to control multiple bodies. Their connection is complex, with clear hints of a past relationship. However, it remains ambiguous whether their bond was romantic or purely physical. Given Rick's vast interdimensional travel, there could be other past flings or relationships scattered across the multiverse. The show, however, offers no concrete evidence of this. Rick's cynical outlook and possible past trauma might make him resistant to romantic attachment. And another thing to consider is that Rick is an unreliable narrator, so anything he says about past relationships might be fabricated. In any case, the romantic side of Rick isn't a central focus of the show. What about his friendships, though? Does he even have any friends? Well, his cynical personality and focus on science make it difficult for him to maintain close friendships. He also often views others as inferior and expendable, but despite all of that, there are a few notable friendships. Mr. Poopybutthole is a recurring character who seems to have a long history with Rick and the Smith family. First appearing in the episode Total Rickle, Mr. Poopybutthole is not typically portrayed as an intellectual character, but Rick does seem to trust him and consider him a friend. This is evident in their interactions and Rick's efforts to help him during tough times. Another friend of Rick's is Birdperson, who is presented as Rick's closest friend. We see their bond as fellow rebels with a similar disregard for rules in many episodes, and they share a very interesting past, even fighting against the Galactic Federation together. However, in The Wedding Squanchers, Birdperson is betrayed and shot by Tammy, which results in him being turned against Rick later on, leaving Rick heartbroken. We thought we'd talk about his childhood friendships, but the show offers no clues about that, so there's not much to say there. Of you are probably screaming at your screens right now, wondering why I haven't mentioned Morty. But can we really call the dynamic between these two a friendship? The truth is, Rick and Morty aren't exactly best friends in the traditional sense. Their bond is more of a twisted codependency formed through forced proximity and a sprinkle of Stockholm Syndrome. It all started with Rick moving in with Beth. Morty was around 14 at the time, and Rick likely viewed him as a potential lab assistant. Morty, on the other hand, was absolutely terrified around Rick. Rick's unpredictable nature, disregard for safety, and general cynicism often clashed with Morty's naive optimism and desire for normalcy. Rick keeps dragging Morty on increasingly dangerous adventures across the multiverse, and Morty is constantly in over his head, facing mind-blowing situations and life-threatening dangers. But despite the fear, Morty starts to develop a certain resilience. He learns to adapt to the chaos, occasionally even using his naivety to solve problems in ways that Rick wouldn't expect. While absolutely terrifying for Morty, their adventures do create a unique language between the two. They share inside joke, references to bizarre creatures and realities, and a begrudging understanding of each other's quirks. This shared experience, however warped, becomes a twisted bond. It's a we've been through hell together kind of connection, fueled by adrenaline and a shared sense of the absurd. Rick probably views Morty as expendable, but he also relies on him. Their relationship is a cycle. Rick uses Morty, puts him in danger, and dismisses his feelings. Morty, terrified but strangely attached to the chaos, clings on. There are moments of genuine connection, glimpses of a dysfunctional form of care, but they're overshadowed by Rick's cynicism and Morty's fear. So yeah, is that something that you would call a friendship? Please share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Next up are some of the intriguing theories circulating about Rick, such as speculations about what his true motives are. Many believe that Rick's cynicism and detachment stem from a traumatic event, so perhaps he's using his adventures to distract himself or searching for something or someone lost across the multiverse. In the 11th and final episode of the first season titled Ricksy Business, Birdperson reveals to Morty that the phrase "wubba lubba dub dub" that Rick keeps using actually translates to "I am in great pain, please help me," which is a pretty big hint supporting the trauma theory. Rick's past affiliation with the Galactic Federation could also be more than just a historical footnote. Maybe he's still working against them, or using his interdimensional travel to take revenge on them for something that they did to him in the past. There's also a theory floating around that Rick might be trying to rectify a past mistake that caused a ripple effect across the multiverse, which could be the reason for him being ostracized by the Council of Ricks. Another theory posits that Rick's constant travel and disregard for everything are a way to cope with a vast existential crisis. He might be searching for meaning in a meaningless universe. I mean, who wouldn't have an existential crisis if they were aware of countless alternate realities, each revealing different outcomes and versions of oneself? This overwhelming knowledge that every choice could lead to innumerable possible outcomes might just push anyone to question the significance of any decision at all. And finally, he might simply be trying to leave or break out. The true purpose and limitations of the central finite curve remain a mystery, and some believe that it serves as a quarantine zone, preventing something dangerous from leaking into other realities. Rick might be this dangerous thing, and he might be restricted to this area to maintain its stability. But we all know how Rick is, so he might be trying to leave despite knowing all of that. Now, since there wasn't enough information about his parents, let us talk about his current family for a bit before we end. Rick's current family life is a chaotic mix of love, frustration, and interdimensional shenanigans. They may not be the picture-perfect family, but they're undeniably bonded by their shared experiences and Rick's constant presence, even if it's a destructive one. Beth Smith, Rick's biological daughter, is a constant source of frustration for him. Beth struggles with her self-worth and often feels overshadowed by Rick's genius, but despite their bickering, there's an underlying love between them. Her husband, Jerry, is Rick's least favorite person, as Rick views him as intellectually inferior and a drain on Beth's potential. Their relationship is filled with passive-aggressive jabs and mutual disdain. I don't think that I need to talk about the easily manipulated Morty anymore, or that there's anything else to say. So let's jump to his sister, Summer. Summer is more willing to embrace the craziness of Rick's adventures than Morty, but their relationship remains complex. Overall, they're a dysfunctional unit held together by a thread and probably duct tape. They rely on each other in strange ways. Beth and Jerry, despite their problems, remain a couple for a period of time at least. Morty and Summer, while often exasperated with Rick, still crave his approval. Their love for one another often manifests through sarcasm, bickering, and Ricksanity, but I think there's still hope for them. That wraps up our video for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.